Hello. In the next episode of my series of discrimination books, we'll be reviewing a very recent book called Sons of Sebastian by the Carnatic vocal musician, artist, and activist T.N. Krishna sir. So, this book is about people who make Mridangam. Mridangam, for those of you who are not aware, is a South Indian percussion instrument which is used in most Carnatic concerts. Like its North Indian counterpart tabla, it is made out of animal hides. Because of which this work has always been left for those belonging to the lower caste, because it is a messy work. You have to take the animal, take its skin, take its hide, tie it together, put it together, pull it, stretch it, all of these things which would probably be considered unholy or, to be very frank, dirty by those belonging to the upper castes. So, over the years, this has led to discrimination, this has led to clear boundary formation where the artist, especially in South India, the artists would be people belonging to higher castes. The artist kind of distances himself from the entire making process, right? They are considered superior, they are considered holy, and the one who actually puts in effort into making the instrument hardly gets any recognition. Let's start with reading out a paragraph which introduces us to the practice. Mridangam making involves skinning, cutting, and curing hides, and hence this work was almost never done by the Mridangam artists. In the established caste order, skin work has always been allotted to the lowest of castes. So, how does this play out in the society? Because traditionally, over centuries, people belonging to higher castes were not supposed to associate with those of the lower caste. They were not allowed to let these people enter their houses, let alone touching them or interacting with them over long periods. How would this even go about? Silveraj is a Mridangam artist who is Christian. Silveraj had more to say. I did not eat with him. In this case, him is Mani Iyer sir, a very celebrated Mridangam player. In Madras, when Mani Iyer stayed at the Woodlands Hotel, I used to eat his leftovers. He knew that and would keep some for me. In Tanjavur, Amma or his daughter would call at lunchtime. I would go to the rare portion, and if Amma said come in, I would not. I would eat outside. They gave me a plate. That was my plate. I would wash it and keep it separately. But with coffee, tumblers were the same. So, as T.N. Krishna sir puts it, a lot of people were used to this arrangement. To them, just being allowed near the house of a Brahmin or being allowed to share the same coffee tumbler was a big thing. Like they aspired to it. To them, this was closeness, this was acceptance. They were they never considered it as discrimination. They were always very happy and very grateful for whatever it was that was being given to them, because this is what caste divide does to you. It tells you that this is your portion, this is what you are supposed to expect, and if you get anything extra, be grateful for it. Now, what happened when people who were higher caste actually started making mridangams? There are very few of them, because obviously taking holy animal's skin or hide, in this case cow, would make you, an anomaly in the caste. Being a Brahmin, Balaguru expected support from his own clan, the Mridangam artists. He was upset that this did not happen. Having made the social ritual sacrifice of entering this line of work, he thought that many Brahmins would come out to support him. So, when somebody from the same caste does it, it is unacceptable. People are not welcoming, people push them to the side, and they actually look down upon them for taking up some work which is not caste defined. Let's also talk about women, because the role of percussion artists has been usually been given to men, because mridangam is supposed to be a very manly instrument. You're supposed to sit in and correct posture and play it with a lot of energy and a lot of force, which over the years people have always thought that women will not be able to deliver. I came to know that much later in the 19th and early 20th century, there were many women from the Devdasi community who played the mridangam. Unfortunately, along with the 20th century Brahmanization of the music, came all the other things associated with Brahmin norms. Even today, women fight to establish their rightful place in mridangam artist in what is accepted as a man's world. So, women who made mridangam, women who played mridangam have always been considered the second category. Obviously, these taboos are breaking with time, and now women have again reclaimed their space in the field. So, how is all of this concerned with us? Because these things also happen in our society. Maybe you're from North India, but if somebody would write a book on tabla making, it would contain the same elements, right? In your own home, you would have seen that the maid is always given a separate plate. The kamwala or the kamwali in your house has a separate corner in which he or she is supposed to eat. So these are remnants of untouchability of caste system that give us an impression that anybody doing that kind of a work is unclean or cannot be let inside the house. So while we look at these historical aspects, we should also ponder upon our contemporary practices and how can we improve ourselves. Thank you.